what seems like the darkest day can end up bringing a lot of color to your life. That's what my mom, Rebecca Ellerman, discovered. Over the years, she's taught that to me and my sisters, Sarah Peyton and Annie. The final member to be added to our family was my little brother, and my mom will never forget the day he was born, September 15th, 1999.
I woke up that morning and had kind of like a feeling in my stomach. It didn't seem like the other 3 births. The baby was born very easily, 7 pounds, 14 ounces, right on time. But as soon as he was born, there was my bedside nurse, and her first words were, "Oh, it's another floppy." I kind of like looked around and I thought, what in the world does that mean? And I saw my OB, sweet woman, had delivered my other 3 children, and I saw her back up and just be staring at that baby with a deep concern. And it was her eyes on him that I just watched, because I knew she knew that this wasn't going to be easy, and that maybe this baby that she had just helped to be born wasn't going to survive. And we had named him Trey Daniel Ellerman, and my pediatrician was the first one to say, "I need to tell you that it looks like preliminarily that he has trisomy 21, Down syndrome." And he said, "That's interesting that you named him Trey, because like Trey," and I didn't like it at all, to be honest. It all of a sudden seemed like a label, and it seemed like a mistake, the name. And we started to hear reports from the NICU and the nurses that he had not only trisomy 21, but he had pulmonary hypertension, which is basically, in layman's terms, the heart and the lungs are not working well together. So on day 2, when they told me he doesn't look like it's going to make it, and do you want to see him one more time? I walked through that NICU door, and they pointed him out, and he said, that's him, that's Trey. And I fainted. I fell into my friend's arms. I'm like, that cannot be my child. He was so blown up with medicine and steroids that he was just like he looked like you could take a pin and pop him. He was huge and not in a healthy way. And he was bouncing on this machine, and I can't do it. I cannot do that. At that time, I said to the doctors, "Would it be okay if I change his name?" And I just remember sitting there going, "This is your child, Lord. It's not my will, but it's your will that will be done in this matter. He is your will." And I literally remember placing him with my mind and my heart into the Lord's hands and just saying, "He's your will, and whatever you decide is yours." And so I changed his name to Will Daniel Ellerman. When you have a child like Will, they're hypotonic, which means they don't have much energy or strength anywhere in their body. And he had yet to open his eyes. And these doctors and nurses came into the room and kind of laid out what they saw and the prognosis, and it was not good. Their counsel to me was, if you say a word to your child or speak or he hears your voice, he will likely go into cardiac arrest. I was told I couldn't talk to him. I couldn't sing to him. I couldn't pray with him. He couldn't hear my voice.
A friend of my mom came and visited the hospital, and she said, "It doesn't seem right that you can't talk to your child or even sing to your child." My mom prayed about it and thought, she's right. And there was a song that my mom sang to all of us as kids. It was based on a book by Robert Munch, and my mom decided to sing it to Will.
"I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, My baby you'll be. That was the moment his eyes opened for the very first time. Incomprehensible, really, that he knew my voice. And there were bells going on in the room. It was loud. But he stopped. He was still. He looked at me. I'll never forget it. And I knew that I had received like such a blessing from the Lord, and also the awareness that I was really there for a purpose for him as well. I was serving a purpose for the Lord with this baby. Fast forward 6 months later, he was well enough to be able to come home. But we were navigating a lot of things like low oxygen and low feeding abilities and the trach. Hospitalized 4 or 5 times. He had pneumonia every year. And the thing that had not been addressed yet was his heart. We needed to have him grow in weight so that he could actually have that heart surgery.
My mom was waiting for Will to grow, physically, so that doctors could perform surgery on his heart. And during the same time, my mom began to grow in her relationship with God. He was getting truth deep in her heart.
I was invited to my neighbor's house with some other young moms, and we did Lies Women Believe.
Lies Women Believe is a book by Nancy DeMoss Walgemuth.
And all of a sudden, I got to know Nancy on the radio and hearing her voice teaching.
You've just gotten that doctor's report, and it's not a good one about you, or even harder, about someone that you love. How do you face that with strength and dignity?
And it just became our daily routine with my kids and everything. We just listened to Nancy.
In the midst of these circumstances, whatever they may be, heaven reigns. Heaven rules.
If my mom had not connected with Revive Our Hearts, I don't know if I would have known how to cultivate an intimate relationship with the Lord, because my mom she has pointed me and shown me what it looks like to wake up and to abide or cultivate that relationship with the Lord. And so I don't know where I would be. I don't even know if I would know how to study my Bible at this age.
And I was desperate. And I probably didn't even know how desperate I was. But I know that it was a lifeline to me.
My mom wanted to share that lifeline with others who were going through their own struggles. So she joined the Revive Our Hearts monthly partner team. That meant she told others about Revive Our Hearts, she prayed for the ministry, and she supported the ministry financially each month.
I just wanted to be a part of seeing what God was doing in lives all around the world.
Crises provide opportunities for us as God's women to flourish spiritually and to point people to Christ, who is our only rock and hope.
My mom traveled to Little Rock, Arkansas to hear Nancy teach for Revive Our Hearts. In fact, here she is listening to Nancy. And guess who else came? That's me. I came with my mom that day. Nancy taught on trusting God with our future, and at the age of 13, that had a huge impact on my life. A few years later, I became a monthly partner with Revive Our Hearts, and now my wife, Megan, and I are still part of the team. But we're not the only monthly partners in our family. My mom and sisters went to a conference hosted by Revive Our Hearts called True Women 16. At that conference, Sarah Payton and Annie both heard an invitation to join the Revive Our Hearts monthly partner team.
Being an 18-year-old, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it, but just as my mom always says, when you give, the Lord will bless you in return. And so I believed that to be true, and I wanted to see it to be true. And so I just decided to, at the end of that conference, to become a monthly partner, and I've been one ever since.
I became a monthly partner at that conference, and remember just not having much of an income. I was a sophomore in college, and I was like, I don't really know how I'm going to do this, but I just know I get to do it because I have been blessed with some income, and I get to be generous with what I have been given.
So my mom, Becky, my wife, Megan, and I, Sarah Payton, Annie, and her husband, Wyatt, are all involved with the Revive Our Hearts monthly partner team. And there's one other person in the family who joined the team as well. When you last heard about Will, he was waiting to grow big enough for heart surgery.
So we tried, and when he turned 4, and we tried to do it non-invasively, and it failed. Then we tried again, non-invasively, it failed. So it required open heart surgery. So we did that when he was about 4.5 years old, and that was a breakthrough day. After 12 years of being on a feeding tube, that one day he just stopped using it and he started to eat. And it was out of nowhere, with no therapy, with nothing, just one day, no more. What started to happen was the color of Will's life started to really come about. And so instead of just the necessity of surviving, we started to see life could be flourishing. Got into a wonderful school for special needs kids, was able to go all the way through high school and graduate there. He even was invited and was given the opportunity to go to college in a special needs program for a little bit.
Hey, Will. Good to see you.
Opportunities were coming open for him, and he started to say, I want to be our pastor's prayer person, and I want to be on mission staff with Young Life Capernaum, which is the special needs part of Young Life.
How's it going?
And I want to work at Park Cities Presbyterian Church. And I want to be a monthly partner with Revive Our Hearts. And today, we're seeing all of those. I mean, every one of them has come about.
Your youngest is a son who's here. Will, can I embarrass Will and get him to stand up?
He got his first job. He's working in the same church with my daughter Sarah in the facilities department. So he got his first paycheck, and he is becoming a ministry partner of Revive Our Hearts.
So Will is a facilities man. I remember one time I was sitting in an all-staff meeting and one of the bosses over Will came up to me and was like, Will has changed my perspective of life. They said, it's changed the way I see my job. It's changed the way I take the trash out. It's changed the way I set up chairs. It's changed all those things just because of the joy that Will has and how grateful he is to do it. I mean, he says all the time, like, I love my job. It changes the way that I see the mundane things in life. So he's our biggest encourager and just brings so much joy to our family.
I will give thanks of you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, and my soul knows it really well. Psalm 139:14.
Okay. I'll love you forever. I'll like you for always. As long as I'm living, my baby you'll be.